It's a weird way to say that you really don't actually care about other people and only really care about your own problems. I know what you're thinking. Sam, that's not surprising at all. We always hear them say stuff like that. Hang on, I promise I'm not done yet. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam. If you are a returning viewer, hello, it's nice to have you back here again with me this week. If you are new here and this is the first time you are seeing my face, welcome. I make weekly videos dissecting internet nonsense, so if you're into that type of thing or you like today's video, I hope that you'll consider liking and subscribing. It really helps out the channel and make sure that you never miss another upload from me. It's been a little while since we've done a fat activist file type video where we just focus on one specific content creator and kind of do a mini deep dive into their content. Last week, Victoria, or Fat Fab Feminist, popped up on my For You page. And I know I'm a little bit behind on the trend that she was responding to, which is 10-year-olds in Sephora, but I was so intrigued by her saying this.
One thing about me is I'm always ready to change my opinion on something.
I'm curious to see if that's true, because Victoria, like many of her fat activist peers, tends to go back and forth and contradict herself a lot with her own content and her own messaging. It makes her really confusing to keep up with because you never really know where she stands. So let's take a look at a couple of examples and see if we can figure out where she stands, or if she will indeed change her opinion. First, throughout her time on TikTok, she has claimed that she does not believe in health at every size.
I have literally never once claimed health. I'm not a health at every size advocate. That's not my claim.
There are several videos on her TikTok just like this where she's attempting to separate herself from health at every size. And then on her same platform, a few videos later, she'll say things like this.
Definitely believe that fat people can be healthy.
And this.
Let's say you're right. Let's say every single fat person on the planet is unhealthy. Not true, but let's say you're right.
She always finds a way to sneak in these little quips to let us know that she does actually believe in health at every size, even though she keeps claiming out loud that she doesn't believe in it. Do you see what I mean about her being confusing to keep up with? Now, I'm gonna jump back just a little bit and just dive a little deeper into that second clip I just showed you, but only because there was a comment on that video of hers that I feel like we need to talk about. The comment said, "I love how people insult fat people for being fat and not healthy, and then they don't insult people who smoke or drink. Is that healthy? Could that possibly be because people realize that smoking and drinking are inherently bad for you, and smoking specifically increases your risk of disease, specifically cancer, and also can shorten your life?" The reason, in my opinion, that people are commenting on Victoria's videos and her fat activist peers' videos is because they are the only people out here actively refuting the fact that having excess weight and excess adipose tissue on your body increases your risk for disease, for cancer, and could ultimately shorten your lives. They are refuting that. And as much as Victoria tells us that she does not claim health, she constantly throws in these little quips, as we've just talked about, where she does connect weight and health and say that fat people can be healthy. She opens that door for people to oppose her opinion and to refute her arguments. As I continued through her content, I also found that she has made videos talking about fat people's mistreatment by healthcare professionals.
When I talk about doctors having a bias against fat people, I mean that existing in a fat body translates to me not getting proper healthcare from my medical professionals because of their preconceived notions of what a fat body consists of why a person is and is not fat. Because of doctors' biases against fat bodies, we get appearance-based care instead of symptom-based care. That means that the majority of the time when I'm walking into a doctor's office, their first thought about why I'm having any issue that I'm having is my weight. I can go in with a broken leg or a runny nose and I'll be told to lose weight. Whereas a thin counterpart will go in with my exact same symptoms and they will get care based on their symptoms, not the way they appear. How do you expect fat people to take care of our health if healthcare professionals are not giving us quality care? We deserve the same access to healthcare as thin people.
Which is interesting because not too long ago she posted this.
My goodness, Fab Feminist at the doctor, meaning she has people with actual medical degrees to take care of her health. She doesn't need random people in her comments to tell her what they think is wrong with her. Shocking. I know. So maybe everyone who is so concerned in my comment section can maybe leave me alone. I have people who take my blood work, who know my blood pressure, who know all my things, and treat me according to that.
So which is it? Are they only treating you based on being able to see that you're fat and off your weight and your BMI? Or did they take your blood pressure and other vitals to go ahead and come up with a treatment plan for you that you paid them for, that your insurance pays them for? Because that sounds like they did more than just look at you and decide you were fat and tell you to lose weight. I hate this argument that fat activists always make about doctors and their mistreatment. I know, and we've talked about this until I'm blue in the face, that sometimes doctors are just terrible people. I get that. Sometimes they're not great and they've got terrible bedside manner. That is totally a thing that happens. But inevitably, every single time a fat activist like Victoria makes this comment or this kind of content, there are always comments of people saying, yeah, I went to the doctor for an ear infection and they told me the treatment plan was to lose weight. I would posit that what likely happened is that they went in for an ear infection. The doctor went ahead and talked to them about that, gave them a treatment plan specifically for that, and then also talked with them through the other health markers that they noted during the visit, which could include weight, high blood pressure, etc. It's their whole job to care about you as a whole person. Just because these people take the one thing that they're the most insecure about and latch onto it doesn't mean that that is actually what the doctor said. And that's like a shame and an internal anxiety thing that I don't have time to get into today. But that doesn't mean that that is actually what the doctor said. That means that's what you heard. But it's their job to help you live as healthfully as possible. And that includes all of your markers, one of which is weight. And staying right on in this health and wellness lane, let's look at another one.
There is an OZEMPIC shortage because people are using it for weight loss rather than the medication that it actually is. So people who get prescribed that medication and need it to live, like myself and like this person's mother and so many other people, are not able to actually get our medication because y'all are using it as a means to emaciate and starve yourself. Not a single one of you has any right to talk about my health or caring about fat people's health if you are actively taking medication that is necessary for me and others because you want to lose a couple pounds. I have not been able to get my medication in 2 months. 2 months. For the last 3 months, I have been rationing a single box of medication and nobody cares because it's their right to lose weight. First of all, I'm not saying you can't lose, do whatever you want with your body. Not my business. What is my business is people using that medication so I cannot receive it as someone who needs it for my health. Not just for weight loss, but to control my struggle and deal with my PCOS.
Now, Victoria is not the first person to make the argument that people who are taking Ozempic for weight loss are taking it away from people who need it more, i.e. diabetic people. In fact, we talked about that a few videos ago on the channel, if you want to check that out. But she is heated here. Like, so heated that she's talking so rapidly and she was cutting her takes so swiftly and with so much frustration that you can actually hear her fingernails clacking on the phone as she stops and starts each little clip that she's pieced together. And the thing that stuck out to me here is that this frustration and this anger that she's feeling, that we're seeing, that we're hearing, that we're experiencing from her, she is directly aiming all of that vitriol, all of that anger at other people, at other individuals, the ones that she consistently claims deserve respect and care and transparency. She's told us that that's her whole platform. And the reason that this is interesting to me is that Victoria is also a self-described anti-capitalist.
Has anyone figured out how to make money while also not selling your soul to capitalism? Anyway, and I'm an anti-capitalist. Like, I inherently do not support overconsumption.
One thing I didn't mention in that prior video that's become clear to me now watching this video from Victoria where she's very frustrated is that a lot of this frustration and a lot of this targeted fighting that we're seeing about people taking drugs away from people who need it more is happening person to person. They're angry at other individuals rather than the companies who went ahead and decided to market their new drugs this way when they knew full well that they were going through shortages. It's not an individual problem, that's a company problem. And I think I find that most fascinating because Victoria is a self-described anti-capitalist. And just because I'm feeling some type of way today, I need to point out that part of her frustration is the fact that she cannot get medication. And from the tone and the context of this video, you would think that she's talking specifically about not being able to get OZEMPIC, which is a medication she admits that she's taking because she has diabetes. Get that. But what's really happening, the medication that she really can't get and hasn't been able to get for a few months is Vyvanse, which is an ADHD medication, not Ozempic. And I know this because she talks about it in another video on her TikTok. And to me, it's just really unfair for her to conflate these two issues and make it look like she is a diabetic who can't get access to diabetes medication, when in fact what she's struggling to get is ADHD medication. And it's just so fascinating to me to watch her conflate these two things and pretend that she cannot get her diabetes medication so that she can be angry at them, right? The THINS, the people who are not like her, rather than the companies who are putting her in this position. Now, this next one, I did not expect to find.
I've said it once, and I will say it a million times until y'all hear me. I don't have a problem with my weight. I don't have a problem being fat. I am so happy and content in my body.
I know what you're thinking. Sam, that's not surprising at all. We always hear them say stuff like that. Hang on, I promise I'm not done yet.
I genuinely mourn who I could have been, like the person that I could have been if I didn't have like ADHD. I was making a video about it and I didn't realize how heavily my life has been impacted by this thing. Like every aspect of my life, like my depression, my, weight, my, movement, my desire to get out of bed is all impacted by my ADHD.
This was the one that surprised me. And before I get too far into it, I do just want to say that I think that this video was incredibly vulnerable for her to make. And I'm glad that she made it because I think that a lot of people who struggle specifically with being not diagnosed with something like ADHD, I feel like they can probably resonate with this feeling and how hard it was to get things done until they did finally get that diagnosis, especially women, because as she said, a lot of us don't get diagnosed until we're older, and that can be a real challenge. So I do think that this very vulnerable moment is something a lot of people can relate to. That being said, between these two videos, we can see that maybe she's not okay with her body and she's not okay with her weight. And that is okay. There are so many people who can relate to that and who struggle with things that are similar. The only difference is they do not come on the internet and pretend that they're okay with it to build a platform. They also don't claim that it's okay and healthy to be overweight. I also noted later in this specific video, because it's a long one, it's like a 6-minute TikTok, that she also said this.
My ADHD also impacted my disordered eating. Like, I was binge eating in high school because I didn't have enough dopamine. And food is the easiest way to increase your dopamine. But like, if I had just dealt with my ADHD, it's just, this has been the most difficult part of my life. The most disabling thing in my life is my ADHD.
And this is something, again, that I think many people can resonate with, including myself. And we've talked about that a ton here on the channel. But what I find so fascinating is that rather than seeing that these drugs like Ozempic, Mounjaro, etc., the fact that these drugs can help people who have very similar behaviors to the one she just described, when they take these medications, it takes away their addictive behaviors, it takes away their food noise, and other brain abnormalities that make them do that. Hers is related to ADHD. It may not be the same for everyone else, and Ozempic and other drugs have kind of proved that. And they're fixing that for other people. And rather than seeing that, it's like she just casts that aside. Only her issues matter. Everyone else's is simply boiled down to the fact that they only want to lose weight. It's a weird way to say that you really don't actually care about other people and only really care about your own problems. Now, just to go ahead and lighten it back up here at the end of the video, because I know it got a little serious there in the middle, let's go ahead and take a contradiction that took place all in one short TikTok. Are you ready for it?
But the clothes are also not made well. Like, plus size people often don't really get good quality like options, you know? So they're just like, of course they're gonna run through quickly, especially if you're wearing them often.
And then she said,
Thin people can at least go to like a thrift store and get old vintage like quality made clothes, but like obviously I as a fat person cannot do that. So I'm literally at a thrift store. I am sitting in a parking lot at a thrift store making this rant because I'm just like upset about this whole situation. Side note, this is also why plus size people get mad at thin people who take plus size clothing from thrift stores.
girl, do you hear yourself? She literally just said one of her main issues is that clothing that's made for fat people is not high quality and that it wears out quickly. And then, in a neighboring breath, goes ahead and blames thin people for taking all of the plus-size clothes from the thrift store. It's almost as if maybe the plus-size clothing, or the clothing made for fat people, as she refers to it, isn't actually making it to the thrift store. It's another one of those moments where you're just like, ma'am, if you slowed down and just listened to what you're saying, would you have come to the same conclusion? Because what I'm hearing is that the fat clothes are not made with high quality materials. Therefore, they're wearing out faster. Therefore, they're likely not going to be resold in a thrift store. Therefore, we need to target companies to make higher quality plus size clothing. But that's not the conclusion that she got us to. The conclusion she got us to is blame thin people because clearly they're stealing all the fat people's clothes. I know I say this a lot here on the channel, but you cannot make this stuff up. I swear, she is one of the most fascinating people to watch. And I understand that she's young and that she's figuring it all out. I get that. We all have to go through this stage where we're just figuring it out. I think the only difference is that she chooses to upload herself while she's trying to figure it out to the internet, and therefore opening it up for everyone to see. And so I guess I'm hoping if someone does point these things out to her, that maybe she'll
Change my opinion on something.
Alright, that is all I have for you guys today. At this point, I am curious to know what you think. Do you watch Victoria's content on a regular basis? What do you think about her continuously blaming other people, other individuals, specifically the THINS, for her woes? What do you think about her conflating the fact that she cannot get Vyvanse for her ADHD to people not being able to get their diabetes medication? Have you ever noticed how much she contradicts herself? You will have to let me know what you think in the comment section below, because you know I love reading your opinions, and you always have such great ones when it comes to these fat activist files. So please leave them for me there. And for all of my introvert friends out there who do not feel comfortable leaving your opinion in an internet comment section, I see you, I feel you. Go ahead and leave me a lipstick emoji this week. One thing I do actually genuinely love about Victoria is that she can and she will pull off a bold lip, which is something I have never been able to do. I'm a pretty plain person. Anyways, please leave your emojis for me down in the comment section. You know I love to see your emojis just as much as I love to read those opinions. As always, thank you all so much for being here with me this week. I will see you in the next one. Bye.